My name is Olivia, and I'm a nurse. At 31, my life ran on a quiet, predictable rhythm. I worked at Mercy Grace Hospital in Washington, tending to the sick. Some days were filled with the sunlit bustle of the day shift. Others were spent under the quiet hum of fluorescent lights on the night shift. It was demanding work, a life of service that left little room for sparkle, but helping people brought me a deep, quiet satisfaction. A year ago, my life was even simpler. I was single, living in a small, tidy flat that felt empty after my shifts. Most evenings, I would drive out to see my mother in her small house just outside the city. She was getting older, and her hands weren't as steady as they used to be. I would clean for her, bring her groceries, and we'd sit together, sipping tea while the light faded outside her kitchen window. My life was calm. I had no great dramas, but a persistent feeling of loneliness was my constant companion. Then everything changed. A new doctor, Dr. Michael Reed, joined our floor. He was 29, with the easy confidence of someone who knows their place in the world. He was tall, with a strong frame, warm brown hair, and eyes the color of a clear summer sky. But it was his smile that everyone noticed first, a constant, genuine curve of his lips that seemed to brighten the sterile hospital hallways. The other nurses buzzed about him, their whispers a mix of professional respect and personal admiration. He was handsome, yes, but more than that, he was kind. I saw him, of course, but I kept my distance. I wasn't the kind of woman who turned heads. I'm not slender or glamorous. I don't wear makeup, and my clothes are chosen for comfort, not style. My hair is simple. My life is my work. I assumed a man like him wouldn't give a woman like me a second glance. But I was wrong. One morning, he passed me in the corridor and said a simple, "Hello, Olivia." I mumbled a hello back, surprised he knew my name. The next day, he smiled at me again, a little wider this time. "How are you today?" he asked. "I'm fine, thank you," I replied, a small, unbidden smile touching my own lips. "Have a good day," he said and walked on. That small exchange became a daily ritual. Soon, the simple greetings grew into short conversations. He asked about my day, about the patients, about my life outside the hospital walls. He had a way of listening that made you feel seen. One afternoon, he appeared at the nurse's station with a cup of coffee. "You look like you need this," he said. "You work harder than anyone here." My heart gave a little flutter, a feeling so unfamiliar I almost didn't recognize it. I tried to hide it, simply saying, "Thank you." One night, after a long shift, I was waiting for a bus that never seemed to come. Michael was leaving the hospital and saw me standing there. "Need a ride?" he offered. I hesitated for only a second before saying, "Yes, thank you." His car was clean and smelled faintly of leather. We talked during the drive, the conversation flowing easily. I told him about my mother, and he told me about growing up in the city. I felt a connection I hadn't felt with anyone in years. After that, the car rides became a regular thing. Sometimes he'd bring me tea. We started eating lunch together in the hospital cafeteria. He made me laugh, a real deep laugh that had been dormant for too long. I found myself looking for him, my day feeling a little brighter every time I saw his smile. I was falling for him. One weekend, he asked me to a movie. My heart leaped. "Yes," I said immediately. After the film, we walked through a nearby park. It was a chilly evening, but I felt a warmth spreading through my chest. He listened intently as I talked, his blue eyes soft in the dim light. I felt special, interesting, beautiful. When I got home that night, I looked at my reflection in the mirror. I saw my same round face and plain hair, but for the first time in a long time, I smiled at what I saw. Maybe, just maybe, he saw something special in me too. A few days later, he asked me to join him for coffee in the hospital cafe. He seemed different, his usual smile replaced by a serious expression. "Is something wrong?" I asked, my stomach tightening. "I need to tell you something, Olivia," he said, his voice low. "Okay," I said, bracing myself. He took a deep breath. "I'm married." The air rushed out of my lungs. The bustling cafe faded into a dull roar in my ears. My face grew hot while my hands turned to ice. I couldn't speak. He looked at me, his eyes pleading. "Please let me explain." He told me about his wife, Laura. They had been married for 5 years and had no children. He spoke of a marriage that had lost its spark, of two people living separate lives under the same roof. "We're not close anymore," he said. "We share a house, but we don't share our hearts." I stared at my hands, unable to look at him. "Being with you is different," he continued, his voice earnest. "You're so kind and you really listen. I feel like I can finally be myself when I'm with you." I felt a confusing storm of emotions. Sadness, anger, betrayal. Why hadn't he told me sooner? Why the coffee, the smiles, the movie night? Was it all a game? That night, sleep was impossible. I tossed and turned. The image of his serious face burned into my mind. I liked him so much, but I couldn't be a part of a lie. I couldn't build my happiness on someone else's pain. The next day at work was torture. He smiled at me, and I tried to smile back, but it felt like a mask. The joy was gone, replaced by a heavy confusion. Later that week, I was in a large supermarket picking up some groceries when I heard a familiar laugh. I turned and my blood ran cold. It was Michael, and he was with a woman, a tall, beautiful woman with long, flowing hair and stylish clothes. She looked like she had stepped out of a magazine. They were laughing together, their heads close, looking for all the world like the happiest couple alive. I knew with a sinking certainty that this was his wife, Laura. I froze in the aisle, unable to move, unable to breathe. My heart pounded a slow, heavy rhythm against my ribs. I watched them for a moment that felt like an eternity. Then I turned and fled the store, leaving my shopping cart behind. I walked fast, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. Back in my flat, I collapsed onto the floor, hugging my knees to my chest. Why would he lie to me about being unhappy? They looked so perfect together. I felt small, insignificant, a fool. I was just the plain nurse, a brief distraction in his real, beautiful life. The next morning, I saw Michael at work. "Hi," he said with his usual smile. "Hi," I replied, my voice barely a whisper. Later that day, I gathered all my courage and walked up to him. "We need to talk," I said, my voice shaking slightly. He looked surprised. "What's wrong?" I met his gaze directly. "I saw you at the supermarket with your wife." His smile vanished. He stood there, silent, his face paling. I felt my heart hammering against my chest. "You looked happy with her," I said softly. "Olivia, I can explain," he started. "Please don't," I interrupted. "I think I understand everything I need to." "Yes, we might have looked happy for a moment," he said desperately. But it's not real. I don't love her. I feel lost in my own life. When I'm with you, I feel alive. That's what's real. I wanted to believe him, but the image of their shared laughter was branded in my mind. He stepped closer. I didn't plan for this to happen, Olivia. I didn't plan to fall for you, but I have. You are married, I stated, the words flat and final. That is the truth. It's a marriage I'm not happy in, he insisted. Then why are you still in it? I asked quietly. He looked down, unable to meet my eyes. It's complicated. It's not that easy to just leave. I said nothing more. I turned and walked away. That evening, I called my best friend, Sarah. After I told her everything, she was silent for a moment. Then she said, Olivia, you don't deserve this kind of pain. You are not someone's second choice. You are not a secret. You deserve to be the main character in your own love story, not a footnote in someone else's. Her words were like a splash of cold water. Tears streamed down my face, but I knew she was right. I liked him, but I had to like myself more. The next day, Michael tried to talk to me again. I need time, I told him, and for the next few days I created a space around my heart. I focused on my work. I went home. I didn't wait for him, and I avoided the cafeteria. It hurt. My chest felt hollow, and I missed him terribly. A few days later, he asked to meet me at the park after work. We sat on a bench, the evening air cool around us. I care about you, Olivia, he said. I think about you all the time. But you are not free, I replied. I know, but what I feel for you is real. I looked him in the eyes. Do you love your wife? He looked away. I don't know. I don't feel love, but I don't want to hurt her either. Then you have a choice to make, I said, my voice steady. You can't have both of us, and I will not be the other woman. He looked crushed. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I said softly. And you're hurting her too. You need to decide what kind of man you want to be. I stood up. I like you, Michael, but I like myself too, and I will not be anyone's secret. Please wait for me, he pleaded. Let me fix things. No, I said, finding a strength I didn't know I had. You need to fix them for yourself, not for me. I turned and walked away without looking back. That night, I cried myself to sleep, but beneath the pain, there was a flicker of something else. Peace. I had made the right choice for me. The weeks that followed were quiet. I focused on my work, on my mother, on myself. The pain faded, replaced by a quiet strength. One afternoon at the hospital, I helped a young man who was looking for his mother's room. His name was Daniel. He was a teacher, and his kindness was gentle and unassuming. He came to visit his mother every day, and each day he would stop to say hello to me. We started talking, first for a few minutes, then for longer. One day he asked if he could bring me a coffee. I smiled a real smile and said yes. We sat and talked, and it felt easy, safe, honest. After his mother was discharged, he asked if he could see me again. I hesitated, then said, yes, I'd like that. We started slowly. We talked. For weeks, we just talked. I eventually told him about Michael. He listened patiently, and when I was done, he said, you did the right thing. You chose to respect yourself. 3 months later, Daniel took a job at a school in my city. I want to be closer to my mother, he said, looking at me, and to you. Slowly, carefully, something beautiful began to grow between us. It wasn't a dramatic fire, but a steady, warm glow. One day, he brought me a small bunch of yellow flowers. "Happy flowers," he said, "for a happy smile." And for the first time, when a man told me I was beautiful, I truly believed it. I never found out what happened to Michael and his marriage. That chapter of my life was closed. Sometimes I think about the woman I was then, the one who waited by the phone, the one who mistook a little attention for her own worth. I don't resent her. I'm grateful to her. She was strong enough to walk away so that I could walk toward a love that was real.